What's up, everybody? I'm back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today I finally, I pre-order this stuff, and it takes like a year to get here. I finally got my Shin Godzilla SH Monsterarts Forms A and B, aka Forms 2 and 3, aka Kamatakun, Shinagawa Kun, or that weird eel monster and Turkeyzilla. Lots of names. So, really quick, I want to start out, this is not SH Monsterarts, but I got the Neca Shin Godzilla, bust him out of the packaging last night. Ugh, I don't, oof. I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're just biased against it. No, I'm not. I've been against it from the start, not because I didn't want Neca to make a good Shin Godzilla, because obviously it's like I own some of the Neca figures. I think Neca's 1954 pretty dang good. I think Neca's Space Godzilla, that is a really good one, and I think Neca's 2014 is the best 2014 figure there is, even better than the Monsterarts ones. But here's the thing, I thought their Shin sculpt, the initial one looked stupid, I thought the prototype looked dumb, I thought the reveal of the final design looked dumb, I thought the tweaks they made looked dumb. I think this figure is really bad. This is the worst Neca figure I own. And that is including the 1984 Godzilla, because here's the problem with him. First of all, he's got a really big, awkward head. People are like, fix the head, you go like that. That does not fix the head. Nothing you do fixes how big his head is. I've tried to fix it. It's just really massive, and it just is there. He's got a really bad membrane inside of his mouth. It's just plastered in there. The inside of his mouth looks real bad. The sculpt is terrible, okay? The sculpt is you know, they did the best they could, but here's the problem with it, is like, first of all, if you're going to complain, my Monsterarts has a paint chip, my Neca, literally one of the dorsal fins is peeling apart, and that was from the box. So, Neca's not perfect either, boys and girls. The tail also, look, this is flattened out. This is what the tail looks like. People complain about Neca, or people complain about SH Monsterarts gaps in their figures. Look at his tail. You can't straighten it out. You literally have to have it like this for it to look good, and it can't even stay like that on its own. It falls off there. Are you kidding me? That's real bad. It's because his tail is so long. You could have done anything different. Look at Monsterarts. Their tail does not look like this at all. It does not look like this at all. And then you can tell when it comes to like the back, you can tell that the body was sculpted, and then they stuck this big red thing on top of it, like inserted it into his body, and it does not look good. He doesn't have good articulation at all. He can only bend to here, bending down. That's like as far down as he can bend. The arms, I get so little movement in the arms. I only get like little bends here and there. Like, it's real bad. I can't even pose the arms very well. I can't even get them in like that iconic position, you know? I'd have to have him like just, I don't even know, because I can't even get his arms into a good position. I can't even get like the base joint into a good position to position the rest of the arm. I'm real disappointed in this figure. This leg, his articulation is like this. Not bad, really. Actually, the leg is pretty good. And then, like, the foot has a little ball joint in here. All of its ball joints. This leg's really good. This leg doesn't articulate at all for me. I literally only have a knee joint and a leg joint. I don't have, this one has this nice articulation right at the hip. This one, like, nothing in the world I do can get this hip to really articulate without breaking it. Like, I'm forcing it to move this much. And then this one, I don't have to do anything, and I can get it way out here. So, real bad figure. I am severely unimpressed with it. Neca, get on your game. Also, everyone's like, my SH Monsterarts has derpy eyes. My Necca has derpy eyes. You're not going to be able to see it up close in the camera, but he does. Like, his eyes, one eye is facing this way, one eye is facing this way. It looks terrible. One thing they did better than Monsterarts. Oh, also, hold on, one thing they did way worse. So they got like these weird colored pieces inside of his tail. Why? I know it's supposed to be like bone or something, but it looks real bad. There's maybe, they didn't even sculpt the face design into the tail. I thought there wasn't a face in the tail. Stylistically, I've always said there's a face in the tail. One thing though that they did better than Monsterarts is, look, I can just slam my hand into these dorsal fins and wave them around. They're not gonna break off. My Monsterarts, I have to be like, it's gonna break if I like do the slightest thing. Oh, one other thing they did a little bit better, so everyone's gonna be like, but the paint job. That's what Necca had going for it, was the paint job. First of all, Shin Godzilla is not this black in the movie. So both Necca and Monsterarts got that wrong. He is not this black. He is not this glossy black color. He's gray, all right? He's somewhat, there's some shots where he looks black. He's gray, all right? He's like dark gray. There is more red sprinkled throughout, but there is not, like, the red should be mostly prominent in the chest, and it's not. It's mostly prominent in the legs, which it shouldn't be. There's red on this figure where there shouldn't be red, and on the Monsterarts, there's black on the figure where there should be red. So both of them, I think, kind of failed with the paint, but one thing this guy you can do with is I can, like, rub him all over everything. Look at the bottom of the tail here. There's no paint chips, no paint chips. I'm gonna scrape him across my desk really fast. Ooh, that would have just destroyed my Monsterarts. And there's no paint chips, so I can do whatever I want with this guy, and his paint's not gonna chip. My Monsterarts, stop motion films are really killing the underneath of him, and the paint is all wearing away because I don't know why. Here's the Monsterarts. He's got a much more movie accurate sculpt. I'm very impressed with that. The tail is way longer. You can do way more poses with it. If I was to, like, ooh, I'd pop that ball joint right out. If I was like to straighten it out, it looks good straightened out. Really long tail, which it's not as long as I'd want it to be because the movies is longer. So much detail in this guy, so much detail. Just, I love my Monsterarts Shin Godzilla. He looks incredible. He's got red all where he needs to. I know the lighting right now makes it look like he has somewhat of a red neck. If you look at him in person, he doesn't. He honestly doesn't have a red neck. Like I said, the back, this is all sculpted in, the red part's all sculpted into this design. He doesn't have these weird, like, gaps in his torso unless you, like, really bend him down, like doing the atomic breath pose. You can get some really good range on his bending with the articulation. Though, like I said, I am really nervous with this guy anytime I touch him because these dorsal fins could pop off really easily. My little brother touched it for 2 seconds and one of the dorsal fins got loosened. This guy has a much better sculpt on the membrane inside his mouth. So you got all these cool things you can do with it. Really far bend down. Just a much better figure. That's expected. The price is way more. This guy is obviously going to be a better figure. Like, everyone's problems is, like, this guy has no red in the legs. He should have some highlights. He should have some highlights of red throughout the body, but he's mostly just solid black, whereas the Necca is way too red. Even like a side-by-side, you can just tell which one's a better figure. And I know people are going to find me like, Necca for the win. No. Like, even face sculpt, you got the Monsterarts face sculpt, you got the Necca face sculpt. You're like, which one's cooler? Like, this dope or this guy? This guy is way cooler. Side by side. This guy, yes, he's more red. That's literally all he has going for him. This guy's just way better. Here's, like, lengthwise. This Monsterarts tail's all wrapped up, but it's because it's way too long otherwise. But now that we wasted the first 10 minutes, let's unbox this SH Monsterarts Forms A and B, shall we? Okay, so here's the packaging. I'm a little nervous for it because it is damaged. So I don't know if, like, the actual box on the inside is going to carry over any of that damage. That's a shipping error. If my figures are, like, broken, that's a shipping error. I might just have to send it back. Really light, by the way, like, incredibly light compared to the last Monsterarts guy I opened on this channel. Was very heavy. So, yes. Looks like the box is fine.
Welcome to the ASMR. Today we're going to be popping bubbles.
Alright, let's get into it. It looks like we got a box inside of a box inside of a box, because this is not the SH Monsterarts packaging. I'll turn it away so I don't see the figures too early. So, I'm not going to look at them, but I'm looking at the back of the box. Back of the box is nice. Here's Kamatakun. Back of the box is real nice. Now I'm going to check out my figures, see if I like them. Oh, what? Dang, I've just been trolled. I thought it was going to be like a window view, like my SH Monsterarts Shin Godzilla has a window view. That is him in the box. This is just the guys on the box. Which is funny, you see them posed here on the front of the box, and then they're posed identically on the back of the box. It's not even new poses, which is pretty funny. Like, even on the sides, that's what's on the back of the box. This is pretty cool, so I don't think this is like as artistically cool as the Monsterarts box for Shin Godzilla, but this one's a little bit more like an action-y box, I guess, so let's check out the figures. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, the paint job's terrible. I don't care. Paint job is always terrible. If you want like a decent-ish paint job, spend the $30,000 people are charging for the Bandai figures. Wow. Kamatakun is so small. That has got to be one of the smallest figures I own. They make him look so big in the pictures. That is incredible. That's insane, dude. Like, I knew these guys were small, but I just guess I never realized how small they really were. Well, I don't expect it'll be easy to break anything on this guy, like any dorsal fins off, because they are, well, yeah, I will. But they're all more kind of plastered together than they are separately. So he's got this interesting green color to him that I'm not sure. Look how small. Like, this is not even the length of my hand, like, barely. He is like smaller than a pet lizard that I had. So he's got this interesting green color going on with him that I didn't really expect. You guys can see it here. Now he looks bigger in the camera. You guys can see he's got this interesting like greenish, people have been calling it olive color to him, which I wasn't expecting. I don't think it looks bad, but I wasn't expecting it. So I'm looking at any detail on him. I noticed one half of his tail is a little bit better sculpted than the other half of his tail. Then it's kind of weird the way the orange just stops and doesn't continue up the body at all. It just goes up until here, until the main portion. But that's not too bad. He doesn't really have any articulation in his little nubs, which is okay. He doesn't in the movie either. And then the head is pretty well sculpted. I know, like, for whatever reason my camera focuses me more than the guy up front. But yeah, his head is pretty well sculpted. Mouth opens fairly wide. Mouth opens really wide. So, oh, and I really like the very red membrane on the inside of his mouth. It looks really good. The teeth are all pretty well sculpted too. This is a really good figure for just how small it is, especially for how small it is. The gills look nice. Looks like the little chest plate, the chest bone looks nice. I'm not seeing any problems with the paint on the red gills. Not seeing any problems with the paint at all. No spillover from red. Scratch that. There is some spillover on his back. There's a little bit of spillover of red. You can't even hardly see it, but there's a little bit of spillover of red onto his olive body. I think the biggest problem I have with this figure, well, because here's his little legs. They don't articulate terribly well, so it's going to be hard to get him to do any cool walking things in stop motion. His foot, this is my biggest problem. His foot has such a loose joint on it, like it's going to kind of swivel a lot when I don't want it to. This foot's a lot better, I think, than this one, which is interesting because I've seen other reviewers have the same problem where one of their feet is just really loose. Fairly good, honestly, guys. I don't think there's any problems with Kamatakun. His tail even has some nice articulation in it. He's very bendable, very posable. Like, in terms of the little movement he can do, you can really get a lot of movement. Look at that, you can get a lot of movement out of the tail. Oh, well, I popped the ball joint off, but you know what I mean. Alright, now on to the controversial Shinagawa Kuns, who, not terrible. I never liked his paint job, so I'm okay with him looking like garbage. And he doesn't look like garbage, but he doesn't look great. He's the same olive green color, and I understand why they did it. They made their very first Shin Godzilla Monsterarts very stylized, alright? Very stylized with the sparkly black and everything like that. But the problem is Godzilla's not like that in the movie. And here's the thing with this guy is they made him olive green so that he was the same color tone as this one. They even gave him the same orange on the bottom of his tail, which doesn't look very good because you really notice the cutoff on paint on this guy, where it just kind of fades into nothing. Now, there's not very many problems necessarily with it. It just kind of looks like as you go up the tail, you lose a lot of detailing, so each portion is very well sculpted up until about here, and then it just becomes bad, like poorly sculpted, no depth to it, especially this last piece, all the way up until this tip of the tail, which of course has some very good detail in it. You can see the face starting to form. Let me see, yeah, if the camera focuses in on it, you can see the face starting to form on the tail. I don't really have a good camera for reviewing figures yet. I don't really like the orange paint and the olive paint to him, but I understand they did it to try and make him look more like the Kamatakun figure. I'm not sure why, because he completely changes into, he goes from like the kind of tan human skin color into very red in the movie. This guy just doesn't really have any red to him other than this orange, which kind of should have been the whole body. If you were going to make some orange on here, make it the whole body, because he was more orange than anything. But some pretty good articulation. I'm very happy. It's very well sculpted other than the tip of the tail. Like I said, he's got some good articulation in the legs here, so I'm very happy with that. He can bend down pretty dang far. In fact, I'd say he can bend further than the normal Monsterarts can bend, which is funny because the normal Shin Godzilla is supposed to be able to bend like all the way down so we can do that atomic breath, but this guy goes just as far, if not further. Then you got him standing up, he looks fine. There is, on camera at least, a noticeable gap between dorsal fins here and here, which is not present as prominent in person. Maybe because in person he's smaller to look at than if he was like shoved up in your face in the camera. But the little arms here have, again, almost no articulation. I'm looking for any paint spillover with the red. Not noticing any paint spillover with the red. This guy actually has a lot of red throughout the body, which is nice to see. Got a lot of red on the underbelly and leading up into the chest. You can't actually see it in the camera, but he does have a lot of red in the chest, which is something that my main Monsterarts, my main Shin Godzilla, needed to have, but didn't really. And I guess you can get him to like look straight up in this awkward position, but then getting him to look down, he looks still a little awkward. There's this weird thing on his neck that needs to not be there. That's kind of throwing the whole face or the whole like side profile view off. He doesn't have that in the movie, I don't think, but that's kind of throwing it all off, and I'm not sure why it's there either. Oh, I guess it's there so that he can have some inside of his mouth sculpt, but there's no point to that because the few times we see him roar in the movie, his head never goes this far out. Like, he never roars that open mouthed, and then like the inside of his mouth looks kind of weird with that big esophagus sticking up through his mouth. The sculpting, the detail on the inside of his mouth is really well done. Like, there's on the roof of his mouth, you're not going to be able to see it. Oh, I guess you kind of can. On the roof of his mouth, there's a lot of really good sculpting there. The teeth are all very well done. They're individually sculpted, it looks like. The eyes also look pretty dang cool. They look pretty cool too. So this guy's really, I like this Shinagawa Kun. And then you can get him to do is like look around. He roars, and then he turns around and sprints his little butt home. How does he sprint? He runs. I guess they did that. Oh, I know why they did that. Probably because when he runs in the movie, he runs straight down like this. So I'm sure that's why they have it, so that he can look straight up, is so he can run like, you can have him running like this. But I'm never going to do that. Probably not, because it looks weird to me. So I'm probably just going to keep his head kind of more angled downward like this. Which is also, you could be like, that's kind of messy, but like the way it looks. But that's like one of the normal fixes. Like, you know, every time you articulate a figure, it like has those gaps in the dorsal fins. Necca does it too. as I proved, but one thing that I also find interesting is you can see there's like little things on this guy that really set up the final design. So you can see his mouth opens really wide, and then you also have some articulation on the top of the head, so you can pull the top of the head a little bit more open too, which is what the final form does. When he does his atomic breath, his head opens like this, and then it peels the top up, which your Neca Shin Godzilla is not going to do. But when you open his mouth, he doesn't open his mouth very wide up until he does the atomic breath, in which case his mouth opens really wide. So you got the same thing going on with him. I think these two look fairly well together. Like I said, his paint job is a little bit weird, and it's just meant to fit in with the Kamatakun, which I'll try and get him into the shot too. So now you can have all three of them with each other. Kamatakun looks like the most out of place with them because he's so green that it's like, how does it go from that green to this black? But I don't know. He's human skin colored in the movie, so I don't really have a problem with that. I honestly think though that the SH Monsterarts Kamatakun and Shinagawa Kun are better with the paint than this guy is. And this guy cost a lot more money, but he is a lot bigger too, so there's a lot more room to mess up. Overall, whereas if I were to rate the Neca Shin Godzilla, I would rate him probably somewhere like a 5 for a figure, like, not good. Like, I don't like it. If I were to rate my Shin Godzilla SH Monsterarts, I'd probably rate him around like an 8 or 9. Probably an 8. He's an 8. But these guys, honestly, other than his paint, they are good. They're really good. Like, even his gross paint scheme is well painted on. That's good. It's well applied. There's no chips or damage on mine, so looks like some people just get unlucky, or maybe I just get lucky. But I would rate these two guys the same. I'd rate them an 8. They are fairly good figures. I actually really like these guys, so I can't wait to mess around with them. And that's going to do it for this one. See you guys next time. D-Man, out.